Hey guys, I am Casper Ruud, and you are now listening to my podcast here on Eurosport, and this is the Ruud Talk.
Welcome, everyone. This is the first episode of the Root Talk. And when we talk about Root Talk, it's not rude, it's Casper Ruud Talk. Welcome, Casper. And Mats Wilander is going to join me for that. First of all, Casper, how do you like this title, the Root Talk?
Well, I had a lot of questions about it. My name, actually, and especially when I'm in the States, they don't always seem to understand that someone can be named Rude because it sounds obviously, not so nice always. They always mistake me for Rudd, which is Rudd instead of Ruud. So I guess it's normal. They have a big actor, which his name is Paul Rudd, which I guess is a famous name for some Americans. So I guess maybe that's why. So in the States, I'm usually Casper Rudd, and it's fine. I guess I've gotten used to it by now.
There was actually a prime minister in Australia called Kevin Rudd as well. Now that I
Yeah.
think of it, Mats, what about you? If there would be, like a talk with you, how would you like to name that one? Have you thought about that, or should we not talk about that?
Um, well, let's see. Now that we're talking about America, first of all, hi. Thanks for having me on the show. As we talk about America, I live in America, but I'm still going to say it because the Americans might not hear this. They call me Max all the time instead of Mats. I'm like, you can be a tennis player and you play tennis your whole life, and they still call me Max. I don't know if it's because I can't say Mats or they say Max. So something, hey, Max, how's it going? I'm like, oh my God. So I prefer Max to them destroying Wilander or Wilander. So it's Wilander. But Wilander in Norwegian, Babsi, actually means that we are landing.
Oh
Wilander.
no!
Yes,
Really?
we're landing.
That's right.
Well,
Yes,
we
That's right.
have landed at the first episode of the Root Talk. How perfect
Yeah.
is that? Casper, where are
That's
you at the moment?
I'm in Norway, in Oslo, in my home. So just resting because I had my one of my wisdom tooth or teeth removed yesterday. So it was fine. It was a simple surgery. It took like half a minute and it was out because I was under what's it called, like when you're not,
Anesthetic?
yeah, anesthetic, but it was just local. So I was awake and was just listening to music, and after one song it was out. So it was a quick and nice surgery, luckily, and the pain hasn't been too bad. So but I just need to rest for the first days, not get any high pulls because the blood and the wound needs to heal and everything. So just resting, and it's good timing because we have a Masters on TV for the golf and the golf Masters week. So I'm just enjoying golf and resting well.
We talk about the golf a little bit later, but what about the wisdom? I mean, there's like a quarter of your wisdom gone now. Can you handle it? Did you feel any different this morning when you woke up?
Not really, and I don't understand why they are called wisdom teeth or tooth. I think they should be called like just annoying, unnecessary teeth because it's they are bothering most people, and most people get them out. So I guess I'm just another victim of this wisdom teeth haunting.
Matt, surely you still have all your wisdom teeth in there because you just know everything.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think there was too much. There wasn't room for my wisdom tooth. And then about 20 years of working at Eurosport with you, Bobsy, there's so much knowledge and wisdom. They thought we need some more space. So they yanked all four of them out, I think.
Mine are all out, by the way, as well. So enough talk about teeth. Let's get into the tennis. Casper, finals against Alcaraz in Miami. Let's just take us back and what impressed you the most, or what are you taking away from this match playing against Alcaraz? You lost 7-5, 6-4, which was a tough one.
I think that he's obviously one of the youngest and better players on tour at the moment, and he has earned a lot of respect among the players because he is, I think, like maybe the first one since I would say maybe Zverev to break out at such a young age. Some of us were already quite good, under 20, but no one was really close to top 10 at 18 except for Zverev, I believe. So he's one of those new rare talents that you don't see that often. So, and obviously if you look back in the history, you see that these kind of players, they reach far and they win big titles. So, and he has already won one of the bigger titles of the sport. So I think we're all impressed, and I'm also impressed. But many players, they have close matches with him, and of course he is beatable. It's not like he's unhuman, but he's very impressive, and I think of course he will probably only get better as the years go by, and he will practice more. And I know he's a hard worker. He's has a good team around him. Juan Carlos Ferrero has done all this before. He was number one before, so I think he also, from Juan Carlos' perspective, I think it would be fun, and his goal is probably to produce another world number one, like a junior version of himself in a way. And yeah, it's impressive to watch, and he's very fearless on court. He goes for big shots at big moments and doesn't hold back. So I think that's what also impresses me a lot. He never really holds back. He goes with a lot of power and a lot of sometimes risky shots, but he makes a lot of them. So it doesn't always seem as risky. But as a player myself, you get surprised sometimes that he goes for certain shots, but he does them very often very well. So it's also impressive.
So powerful, and the speed from Alcaraz is amazing. Mats, have you watched that finals? What could Casper have done better there? What do you think? If you talk directly to Casper now, what would you tell him he should have done differently?
Well, I mean, I actually saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like Casper, that you decided to come to the net quite a lot more than you normally do. And when I was watching, it must feel, when you play Carlos, that he is, first of all, very complete, and that you, first of all, you showed that you can come to the net, which was good. But at the same time, it told me kind of like, well, Carlos, he's so complete, he can do everything, that I need to do something that's maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So Casper, for you, was that something that you had decided before the match? If I can't stay with him from the baseline, I'm going to try and come to the net? Or obviously we know that you're Scandinavian after all, so you've played on a lot of fast indoor courts, and Scandinavians actually know how to come to the net and volley, but we don't always use it. But it seemed like you were trying to use that a little more especially towards the end of the match. Was that something that you felt was necessary, or was it because he was controlling things so much?
I think it was a mix of several things, but when I played him last year, he beat me quite well. Like, he played very well. He came out, like I said before the match, he was like throwing flames at me with his forehands and backhands, and I just felt like he was just ripping the ball so hard. So the goal for this match for me was to try to fight fire with fire in a way, and kind of, even though he's so dominant, I wanted to show from the beginning that I can also be so. And even though he was playing hard forehands, I wanted to, counterattack and play even tougher back in a way. And of course, that's a big risk, and some mistakes can come. But also just the fact that first set was quite physically tough. It was some good rallies, long rallies, and it was really humid, which is something sometimes I can struggle a little bit with because I'm not used to it as much as maybe other players. And obviously, Norway, Sweden, we don't have that humidity ever in any time of the year. So sometimes I can have a little bit struggles with staying in the rallies for too long when it's like this humid. So the idea sometimes was to try to rush the net a little bit to shorten the points and not necessarily play, those 20-30 shot rallies all the time, because when you play with him from the back, he doesn't do many mistakes. And it's like you said, he's a very complete player. You'd never feel like you can rest in any corner because his forehand is good and his backhand is also very aggressive and good. So I think I just wanted to shorten down some points to save maybe some energy if there was a third set or things like this. So it was a little bit rushing sometimes, and I agree. But yeah, I think...
No, I didn't say that. Whoa. Here's the Norwegian Swedish thing, Babsi. No. I didn't say rushing. No, you just came to the net. No, I didn't think you're rushing, but
no, but I feel myself that I was just at times rushing a little bit too much to the net, and it's not my type of game necessarily. But it's like you said, we have grown up playing indoors and more volleys, and I think maybe people think about us, and especially myself. Many players maybe take me as a clay court player who just plays the rallies from behind, but we actually do play 6 months of the year indoor on hard court. So I mean, it's not like that is that uncommon for us.
Yeah, it's actually, Babsi, it's
Yep.
actually it's actually 6 months a year in Sweden that we play indoors. In Norway, it's like 10.
That's crazy. And it's
Yeah,
hot
like,
most of the
yeah,
time,
it's
isn't
out
it?
there. Norway's up there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much harsher. No, but do you have to do that in matches, in other matches, Casper and Babsi, for you too? Do you have to actually practice that kind of game in a match situation more often so that you could use it more effectively, do you think?
You go for it,
Yes.
Casper.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the I think one of the most satisfying feelings when you're a player is to come to the net and finish the point with a volley, because it feels like you just made the point the perfect. You construct it the perfect way you should, and you are able to come in, to the net, staying aggressive and finishing it off. But sometimes, I mean, players are so good these days that they get to balls that they maybe didn't before. They can slide out wide, open stance, and play passing shots that I think Rafa and Djokovic are extreme when it comes to this. Of course, Federer also, but I think they have maybe taken the level of the passing shots to a bit different level, and the young players, they look up to that. And I think Alcaraz also has that ability to counterattack, and on the stretch, on the run, he's able to produce plenty of power and good precision. So it is good for me to practice, and against Alcaraz it's tough because he's one of the players that have probably better passing shots and movement around the court. So yeah, it's but it's always good to try to develop. I mean, I will play hopefully close to 1,000 matches in my career, so whatever I can get from one match at a time, I will try to put into my game and improve.
Yeah, I love that you tried something different, coming to the net a lot more. And I think if you want to evolve as a player, you just have to do it in matches. And it doesn't sometimes matter how the outcome is, but in those situations, you have to try something new. But let's talk about that match against Sasha Zverev. You said that was the most important win in your career, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because last year when I played against him, I lost 2 times, and I didn't really feel like I had too many chances in those matches. So first time was in Cincinnati. He came out and just killed me, destroyed me. He was playing so well at the moment. I think he had just come from Tokyo with his gold medal and was just boosting of confidence and playing so well. And he won the tournament also fairly easy. I think it was a tough match with Tsitsipas there in the semifinal, but it was mostly straight sets. And yeah, I didn't feel like I had too many chances. And this time I knew that I needed to, do something else and play a little bit different. So the idea was to maybe not give him too many angles from the backhand side, play a little bit more in the middle, for example. And yeah, just show him that I really believed that I could win and wanted to win. And I came out playing very well. He was doing some unforced errors here and there that he maybe didn't do in the other previous matches. But I took advantage of it and played well when I really had to, and got 2 breaks. That was enough to win the match. So it was maybe not the best quality match I've ever played or he has ever played, but that's tennis. Sometimes you don't play your best every single day, and sometimes it's just about taking care of the small chances you get. And yeah, it was I was able to do so that night. So that was a fun experience. And when it came to yeah, it was a big win for me. And because I knew that in this upcoming clay season, I have a lot of points to defend and all these things. So to get a big result in hard court in Miami before the clay starts was kind of like a perfect way to end the hard court season for now and focus on the clay.
Mats, what do you think about that match against Zverev? I felt like when Casper stepped out there, even though it might have not been your best match, but you really believed in yourself. You went out there, or he went out there in the belief he's going to beat Sasha Zverev. Mats, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, my thoughts on it, first of all, is I most probably would like to put you guys both on a spot, which is, as it is called, Ruud Talk. Should Sasha Zverev even be playing tennis after what he did in Acapulco in that doubles match? I mean, that was
we'll get back to that a little bit later.
So I think that brilliant match. I have to say brilliant match. But to me, I'm not really looking at individual matches for you, Casper, anymore. because you have changed your game. You have started hitting your backhand harder. You're going backhand down the line harder, and you're just a way more complete player. And I have to say that you should be prepared that some of the top guys are going to be surprised when someone like you, as young as you, as quick as you, and who has such an unbelievable, maybe the best forehand in the game, when you start changing things up, they are not expecting it, and you're going to take a lot of players by surprise. And I think that's what happens with Sasha. He's used to sort of dictating, and he's powerful, and he can get to everything, and suddenly things are slightly different. And because he's higher ranked, he's achieved more. Maybe he wasn't quite ready for, whoa, who's this guy? Is this not the Casper Ruud that I know? So I think that's the way forwards for sure.
Yeah, no, I was like, I had a little bit similar game plan to when I played Alcaraz. I wanted to control most of the points with my forehand and show him that if you play to my forehand, it will come fast and heavy back. And I will go for some winners here and there that maybe you don't always go for. But I just wanted to show him that whatever comes out of my forehand side will be dangerous to you in a way, to kind of, scare him a little bit, because then you feel like you have no resting point when you play to my forehands. That was kind of like the idea. And of course, you, like I said, you need to rely on that you will do some more mistakes. But in the end, I think it was helping me a lot. And I was winning some big points when I broke him in the third, setting up the point well with my forehand, coming to the net, I think at one point. So I think that was, I had a little bit same mentality going into the match and what I wanted to do with my game.
All right, Casper, you wanted to say something, Mats?
Yeah, I wanted to just ask. I practiced with Rafael Nadal in 2005 at the French Open.
Did you?
I was the only one there. Saturday, the day before the finals. And we played on like court 3 or 4. And I must have hit 25 forehands in the back fence because I couldn't turn Rafa's topspin over or turn it around. So my question for you, Casper, is when you hit forehand cross courts with your dad, is he able to hit the court with his forehand back, or can he deal with your spin? Because we never ever saw anything like what you guys are producing. I want to know. He's not listening, I'm sure.
No, we were actually practicing a little bit yesterday for 1 hour before I had my surgery, just to feel the ball, and he was playing all right. I think guess the luck, or not luck, but he's been with me since I was, he's coached me since I was so little, so he has kind of gradually seen the improvement. So I think he's kind of like, as I've taken a step upward, he was always there and ready for it. So I think he did a little bit better than what you explained to me what you did, but yeah, I mean, I feel the same. Like, I remember when I was, I think 18 or 19, I got the privilege to practice with Dominic Thiem, and I had been practicing with Rafa before, but that was like a year or two before that even. So of course that was an amazing experience, but I already expected that his shots to be so heavy, so I was a little bit more ready for it. Whilst with Thiem, I hadn't played anything with him before, so when I played him, like, and it felt his forehand heaviness and the spin, I had the same feeling, like I couldn't get the ball like dipping down, so I was always hitting long and out. So I told myself that, I would like to achieve that feeling as well, that when I play someone, they will have that same feeling, that it will be like a bit of a surprise, because even though players know that it's gonna come heavy and with a lot of spin, it's still something different when you haven't practiced with it or played against that in a long time. So yeah, I think my father is doing okay, but that was like my goal since I played with Dominic, that kind of I want to achieve, some percentages of that feeling that I have when I'm playing against him, to give that to other players would be a positive thing for my tennis.
There you go. There's the influence of an Austrian. I knew that will be an Austrian coming into place. It's not just from Sweden, Mats. There you go. Casper, we talked about Miami, but let's talk about Indian Wells and Miami. I mean, it's such a great trip. And Mats and I, we remember, we used to love going, to the States and play those two tournaments. They're 10-day events, and, the sun is shining. If we pick out Indian Wells, how do you describe it? Is it tennis paradise there, and what makes it so special for you to play there?
Well, Well, it is. Yeah, I would say it is tennis paradise. Unfortunately, I have never been able to feel the ball too well in the desert because, and I don't like making excuses and all these things. But for me,
Why?
I just cannot control the ball. The ball that we play with is the pen ball. So it's no offense to Penn or anyone who produces it, but for me in my game, I was never able to feel the balls in my strings. So that's a big issue for me there for now. Of course, maybe as I go back in the years to come, I will feel a little bit better and know what I'm facing in a way. But I always looked up to Indian Wells so much and thought, oh, I'm so excited to play there, and I think the conditions will suit me well because you would think, I mean, it's quite high bounce, low hard courts, but then again, it's just for me the ball is very tough to control. So I never felt too comfortable there. Unfortunately, I wish it can change, and I will try my best to change it. But I always also enjoy a lot of golf outside of the tennis, so it's also golf paradise, I would say, because it's we have 20 or 25 tennis courts on site, but I think in Palm Springs you have over 100 golf courses. So it's just incredible to see, and I always come there directly from South America, which is a quite tough trip to take because it's many weeks and it's on clay. You are playing physical matches, so I always enjoy some days of golf before the tournament, and I think maybe I should play even more golf now that I don't and I'm never able to feel the tennis ball well. Anyways,
I know you guys want to talk about golf, but that's a little bit later.
we will do it later. Yeah.
Yes, Mats, what are your experience in Indian Wells? What did you love the most besides the golf?
It's incredible that Casper and we, for everybody listening, we have not talked before this podcast. I have the exact same feeling. I could not control the tennis ball at Indian Wells. I never did anything. I mean anything. I think I might have made a semis once, but playing in Miami, I like the humidity. No, huge difference. And the ball is bouncing too high. That should have suited me too, in case you haven't seen the black and white videos that are of me, Casper and Babsi on YouTube.
No, excuse me. Mine are not black and white. Hello.
No, not you. Mine. I found it beautiful to lose in the first round because you could play a lot of golf. And now
there we go.
Now there were two sports where I couldn't control the ball: golf and tennis. So my confidence level going to Miami, where I also played a lot of golf, was down in the basement. But I found Indian Wells. We moved from La Quinta in the mid '80s. We went to the Grand Champions at the Hyatt Hotel.
Yes.
And then eventually moved over to Tennis Garden. So I was never comfortable playing tennis there. I love practicing because of the dry air and because of the high bounce. And then I know I'm going to go and play golf afterwards. So, I mean, it's the perfect day. And then you play someone that has a big serve and the ball is bouncing over your head. And I can't control the ball. So no, I absolutely hated playing tennis Indian Wells, but I went there just like you, Casper, to play golf.
It's a great spot. And when I think about La Quinta, oh my God, what a nice resort that is. Unbelievable. Casper, you also played a few crazy players on the court. Nick Kyrgios, we always know, you have to be aware. There's always something going on when you played against him in Indian Wells. Also against Bublik. How do you deal with those unexpected shots? I mean, you have the underarm serves, Bublik, he smashed a ball with the handle of his racket. Like, how does that annoy you? How do you stay in the moment when something like that happens?
Well, I mean, it's in a way exciting because you never know what you will face. But I find many times the underarm comes at 40 love or points where the game is almost nearly finished. I've never played them where they've thrown in an underarm serve at, I'm thinking all right, let's see if it's 5-all deuce. Let's see if the underarm comes or if you want to serve normal, in a way like this. Because many times it's at 40 love or 5-2, 40 love or all this, when the score is a bit where it allows it to be played. But I think against Nick in Indian Wells, he was playing well. I mean, I think he was playing well for both tournaments, Indian Wells and Miami. I mean, I think he has proved once again that he's one of the bigger talents. He can play also well from the back, and of course he has that huge serve that causes many problems for all opponents he plays. And yeah, it's a challenge. And Bublik, he always does something crazy on court, and in a fun way.
You shared a laugh, didn't you? Which was good.
Yeah, we did. It was just a fun moment because I think, but then again, I think it was 5-1 or 4-0 or something, and it's a bit easier to do these things when the score is like this than when it's 5-all, 30-all in the third set. So, I mean, it was a fun shot, a shot I've never seen before. So, let's see if we see it anymore this year. It's not
sure
too many situations where we see this, but it was fun, and like you said, we shared a laugh. We have good connection and good relationship, so it was nothing but fun.
Mats, what about Nick Kyrgios? Do you feel like he has a bit of a new commitment to tennis now, a different approach, a more serious approach again?
Well, it sure looks like it because he was playing unbelievably good. And that match against you, Casper, was incredible. It looks like he got. I'm not sure if Nick Kyrgios goes to the gym or not, but it definitely looked like he got more fit. He looked more ready to play, not just mentally, but physically. He looked more ready to play in Indian Wells and Miami as well. So for me, it's I can't even imagine how to play against these guys, because to me it was annoying when I thought my opponent didn't care about winning as much as I do. And I'm like, why am I out here stressing out? And why is it me that's going to feel awful about losing when my opponent doesn't seem to care? And it must be so much easier for them to play. So it was very hard to control your emotions when you play against a guy. And I mean, Bublik is the same. He's gotten better as well. Do you think that these guys want to win as badly as you, Casper?
Well, it doesn't always, like you said, seem like it, but I feel like as they enter the tournament, I would think so. I mean, they are there to try to win. Otherwise, they wouldn't enter. And especially when it comes to Nick, he has been absent from the tour for some time when COVID came around. And he was, I think, very open with the fact that he didn't want to travel too much around with the COVID. And yeah, he wasn't maybe committed like other players were. And I think that commitment has come back to him, and that he wants to travel a little bit now. And I think he will be dangerous for the grass and the hard court swing coming after the clay. So I think if he stays serious, focused, and comes out ready for that trip, he will cause many problems again, like he always does to all the players. But yeah, it is a little bit frustrating, and I feel the same way like you. Like, I'm always there, and I think that I want to win every single point, and then you find players that throw in an underarm serve or whatever they do, they slap a few balls and they don't take it maybe as serious in a way that you as you do. But you cannot say it at the same time, because maybe their way of being serious is not the same way as you being serious. So it's tough. But like I said, they are there here, they are there in Miami, they're there in Indian Wells because they want to do well and they want to play. So you cannot really think that they don't care, because I guess they do.
And when you're Scandinavian, you're just more serious, full stop. That's what I think. Guys, we have a debate talking about Nick Kyrgios. Now we have to talk about smashing rackets at chair umpires' chairs, and then ball boys. They have to start wearing helmets because you never know where those rackets are flying around. Do you think more needs to be done to stop that violent behavior we're seeing at the moment on the ATP tour? Has men's tennis kind of crossed the line? I mean, we've seen the incident with Zverev in Mexico. Kyrgios, he's always involved, and Brooksby as well. He nearly killed a ball kid there. Casper, what are your thoughts on that? Does it have to come to an end?
Well, I think that in Kyrgios and Brooksby's cases, where they Kyrgios was very close to a ball boy, and Brooksby's racket, I think, hit his foot or something. I think it matters a little bit on how the ball boy reacts. So it's in the ball boy's hands in a way what the penalty should be, because if the ball boy says he's fine, which happened, I guess, with Brooksby, because I guess the hit wasn't very hard. It kind of slided towards his leg, but it's obviously not good, and we know that the ball boys are around and line umpires are around, so it's not what you want to see from the sport. But I think those two cases, even though they looked very bad, were a bit unfortunate and in a way unlucky, because I don't think that Nick intentionally hit his racket to the ground to try to bounce it up to and
But
it did bounce very long.
It keeps on happening, doesn't it? It's not the first time. So
no, but I do think that this situation that happened with Nick kind of made him, I don't know if wake up or not, but I think it made him realize that in that case, he was a bit lucky that the ball boy maybe moved, because if he didn't move, I think it would be quite bad damages, and it was heading straight towards him. So in a way, he was unfortunate that it skidded so far, but in a way, he was kind of lucky that the ball boy actually saw it. I would guess is a nice way to say it. But yeah, I think it needs to stop. This has been 2-3 cases now within a month. So it's reckless behavior in a way. And I mean, it's tough to say. It's not something you wish to see, but at the same time, it kind of brings attention to the sport just in a negative way. So, I mean, let's see. I think the punishment is tough to say what is fair and what is not. They do get big fines, but for some of these players, doesn't seem like it matters. So, it's tough to say what we can do about it. I mean, majority of players, they don't do these things, but when the way it's looking, it can look like a big accident or incident can occur at any time. So let's see. I mean, I think they've been getting some fines and some meetings probably with the board and the guys in ATP who are deciding in the end.
Mats, I know you're dying to talk about that because you very much dislike it. And for me, it's also a thing of respect to the people who are involved in the tennis or out there on the court. I mean, the Zverev, Kyrgios, Brooksby, we talked about them. They're not the only ones. We've seen it with Medvedev just abusing the person up on the chair umpire. Your thoughts on that? I mean, the line has been crossed, because we know in your days McEnroe was crazy, but he was never as crazy as that.
No, in our days they didn't really throw rackets, the crazy guys. They went after their opponent sometimes, like a Jimmy Connors or Ilie Nastase. They would go after the opponent, and we thought, well, that's completely unfair. What does your opponent have to do with the situation? And now I actually think that, you know what, if you go after your opponent a little bit, then I'm going to be very lenient, because in the end, it is a life and death situation as an athlete. Let's point that as an athlete, and you're trying to win the match, and you're trying to stretch the rules to whatever it takes for you to win. So I would like to see them going after their opponents a little bit more, and maybe call their opponents names or do whatever. That would be fine with me these days. But to break rackets like that, and I know that it like you said, Casper, it brings attention to the sport. Yeah, but what about the kids that are watching on TV? And what about our sport, where you as a parent or as whatever, you want to put kids in tennis, because in tennis you learn how to behave properly. You learn how to call things out that are close and call them in. Whatever, you make your own calls. You call the score out. It's just a game where you learn a lot about life and etiquette and rules. And these guys are taking it to a complete different level. And I do know from Leighton Hewitt telling me that every kid in Australia basically is doing what Nick Kyrgios does. I'm not saying they're throwing rackets and whatever, but they hit the ball like Nick Kyrgios. And that's kind of bad enough in a way, because Nick is so talented, but he doesn't use his feet at all in any of his shots. He just slaps it with his arm. And they look up to these guys. So I think it's atrocious. I actually think it's horrible. I think breaking a racket on a tennis court is the lowest for me, because most kids, they cannot afford to buy tennis rackets, and they might still be able to be great players. So I think it's horrible, and I think it's unfair for guys like you, Casper, that are so fair and so nice and so well behaved, like most Scandinavians, by the way. Let's see, did we have a crazy? No, we never had any crazy guys. So I think it's wrong. I think it's completely wrong. That's why I asked. I think Zverev needs to be not on probation. He needs to be taken off the tour for a month, 2 months, Maybe it's the first Grand Slam, maybe it's the first ATP Masters 1000, but something that hurts him rather than just be able to not do the same thing again and then I'm fine. Doesn't make sense. Life doesn't work like that.
I think what Mats said is really really true, and and to me it also, when it comes to the umpires, I think to be disrespectful to the umpires, calling them names and calling them this or that, is also very unprofessional and very unfair to an opponent, because most of the times, the umpires, they just do their best job anytime they can, and anytime they are on court, they're doing a job and they do it as well as they can. Of course, sometimes you need to just accept that some human errors will be made, because all the players, they do errors themselves. I mean, there's not one player. I mean, it's the same as why should the umpire, criticize you because you miss a forehand? It's the same. It's a human error to miss a forehand. It's not like the end of the world just because you miss a forehand. But anytime the players go at the umpires, they seem very disrespectful, and they cannot see that the umpires can do sometimes mistakes, and just let it slip, because I think that's also what separates some players from others, that they blame the umpires for certain things and all these things. So I think that's also something that should be a little bit more strict on what you can say, what you can do, and how badly you can react towards an umpire, because umpires are mostly just fair, and they don't attack the players because they do mistakes. They just give them warnings or whatever. But you always find the players talking very aggressive and very negative towards the umpire, and they are always quite polite back to us. So I mean, it's also something that should be discussed. I believe that where is the limit of what you can say to the umpire, and I think that's also something to point out, because many times, if you now, as technology is getting better, you will hear the mics of around the court, and you will actually catch what players are saying to the umpire at the changeovers and what the umpires are replying. So it is something to look into, and I don't know what more to say. I mean, it's been some bad incidents, and I hope we don't see any more this year. But it's like also Matt said, I think sometimes you need to have some reactions that are so tough that the players actually will be hurt by it, and that comes to anything, not just tennis. I mean, that can be in anything in life. I mean, if there's punishment doesn't hurt you enough, then you're probably just gonna do it again. It's like when you're a kid and you steal some candy, you get from the candy store, and the store owner says don't do it again, you'll probably do it again. But if you actually I don't know, does something that really hurt you, not physically of course, but in a way that you get scared or whatever, it's something else, you won't do it again. So I mean, it comes back down to simple stuff like this. So I think it would be interesting to see some tougher punishments every once in a while.
I have advice for both of you. Babsi, listen to this story. There was a Swedish player who was a little bit crazy. There was two of them, and I don't know which one said it, but I was watching a match, and he went up to the umpire and he says, "Can you give me a warning for what I'm thinking?" And the umpire looks up, "No." And the player said, "Well, I think you're the worst umpire I've ever had." He said, I think you're the worst umpire. It's like the umpire's like, what do I do? So he couldn't actually do anything.
But I think it all comes down to respect, how you treat each other. And it doesn't matter if it's a chair umpire, it doesn't matter who it is, it's you have to treat people with respect. And that's what I get really annoyed by. And I think if that's the worst thing that Swedish player said, I think you're the worst umpire. We don't see that anymore. You'd never get a warning nowadays. And and Mats, I think Andrea Gaudenzi, the CEO of the ATP, came out and he said the umpires and referees are going to be more strict. Should it be much quicker to be defaulted now? Because I think there's a warning, there's another warning, there's another warning, there's another warning, then eventually there's a point penalty. Should it be quicker, Mats, you think?
I do think that it should be quicker, and I think that it comes down to kind of the same thing. The public that's watching professional tennis, we have had more default and retirements in the last 15, 20 years than we ever had in the previous years. And I understand why sometimes, because a player gets a little bit injured and they don't want to hurt themselves more. So then they realize, oh, okay, I'm not going to win this match anyway. And the pride of finishing a tennis match has kind of gone away a little bit. And again, I understand that because long-term effects. But when it comes to behavior, yes, same thing. Oh, you know what? So why not? We watching a big tennis match and the guy gets defaulted because of bad behavior. So it's just a matter of letting the crowd and the fans get used to the fact that, you know what, it's the semis of a Grand Slam and this guy is pushing the envelope and he's out, he's gone, just like in boxing, where the referee goes in and says, you're done, that's it, technical knockout, you're not allowed to box anymore because you can get hurt. And I think it's the same thing. And I think it would be better for some of these players to actually have stricter rules and understand, whoops, can't go any further because if I do, I'm defaulted. It's a big match. So yes, Barbara, way stricter and way quicker as well.
Casper, did you ever smash a racket? Did you ever steal candy?
I did throw it when I was younger, I have to say that. And it kind of got like some cracks in it, but I didn't like destroy it completely.
All right, Casper, we do have a question to you from somebody very special. Let's have a listen to it.
Casper, you've come a long way and you're really doing well now. What do you think you need to do or need to improve to become number one or to win a Grand Slam?
That was Chris
So
Evert.
Chris Evert?
Oh, yeah, you better give the right answer here. She wants to know everything.
I've never met her, so I couldn't recognize the voice. But well, it's a good question. I think ever since I was young and saw Rafa on TV for the first time when he won, I still remember when he won his first Roland Garros. I kind of dreamed about being there myself. Not necessarily like winning a Grand Slam, but just playing tennis on TV. It seemed like something very fun to be on TV and play tennis. So I think that's where it all started for me. That's kind of childhood dream. I was 6 years old or 7 or something like this. And then eventually the dream has been to win the Grand Slam. And I think even though it's a long way, I still feel like right at this moment, it feels closer than ever in a way. Because I've done a good result in Miami, and it's normal to feel this way. And when you have a big result in a big event, that you are kind of like closer than ever, and that or in a way that the goal or the dream feels more real, or it feels more. I feel like the chances of it happening are bigger now than maybe, let's say, a year ago, because you believe it more in a way, that the belief grows stronger. I guess it's the right word to say when you have big results. So it's still as far away as it was maybe half a year ago, but I guess just the belief has grown. And that's something that I feel like is one of the most important things in the sport, to believe that your game is good enough and you are good enough to achieve big results. Because I was always obviously from a small tennis country, so I never knew like how my level was compared to other players around in the world and in Europe, until of course I started playing junior events and of course around in the futures as well. So I never had that kind of mentality where I felt like, I'm from this big tennis country, I'm the best player for my country, I will achieve big things. But I think as the years have gone by and I've achieved more results, the belief is growing stronger. So I think that's the first part. But obviously, when it comes to the tennis, there are still a lot of things to work on. And I think Mats was mentioning it before. I think my backhand was always kind of my weaker shot than my forehand. And the goal is to improve it even more, so that my backhand is not just something that is solid and that I can push back into the court. I want it, of course, one day to be also aggressive and that I can produce winners from it, so that players get that feeling that they can never rest in any side of my game. So I think the backhand has still a lot more potential and needs to be better. And I think that's the main thing that I would like to improve, and hopefully in years will be better. That I will be more complete player from the baseline, to put it that way, because I feel like my forehand is very good on good days, but the backhand still needs improvement, because it needs to be a little bit dangerous, or more dangerous and more wicked in a way, if I can say it that way. So that's I guess my answer to it. Of course, everything, like I said, needs to improve, but if I need to take one shot or say one shot, I would say that the backhand needs to be a bit more, unpredictable or dangerous in a way.
Mats, Casper keeps talking about his backhand. I think you are the man. You know, who you had the best backhand ever. I'm just throwing it out there.
Babsi, you would actually relate to me more than to Casper, because you know how you get a great backhand? Have a really shitty forehand. Yeah, then you get a really good backhand, because I don't remember running around hitting one single forehand in my career. I don't think so. No,
You ran around your forehand.
Yeah, but actually, to be serious, I think that is something that needs to most probably be addressed. When you have a great forehand, one of the best of all time, is how much are you willing to, how often are you willing to run around and hit forehands when you could maybe take the backhand a little bit earlier? And now are you more dangerous by taking the backhand earlier, maybe a little flatter, than running around hitting the best forehand in the world? I mean, which one is more effective? I think Novak Djokovic is someone that has perfected that. I mean, he's got maybe the best backhand of all time. He still tries to run around and hit forehands sometimes, but he's also able to take that backhand really early. So I think it depends on the surface quite a bit. On a clay court, you can run around a little more. On a hard court or grass, you kind of need to, instead of letting the ball come to you and go to your left, you kind of have to come forwards and sometimes take it and hit it a little flatter down the line. But yeah, I agree with you, Casper. I think that's, I mean, at least you have a little bit of a weakness that you have to work on. But what is going to make the difference? I think it's 1 percentage point here, one there, one there, one there. And suddenly you have your 5-6 percentage points that you have improved. And now you can be the best player in the world. That's the case for everybody.
And what I love, Casper, is your mindset, because believe it or not, we have something in common. My highest ranking was number 7 in the world. You are number 7 in the world. And I was happy with the number 7, and you are not. You have more business to be done, and I love that. You have your goals, you know, and it doesn't sound like it's half-hearted. You really want to get to, you know, to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go to a quiz. Are you two ready for a quiz? I have a little quiz prepared for you.
Please.
All right. We talk about women's tennis, and I want you to name all the WTA World #1s since 1975. You can alternate. I have a list here. It's a long list. There it is. I'm not going to show you anymore. So you alternate. Casper, you want to start? Maybe you start in the recent era, not at 75, because you were not born then.
I should have paused the video when you showed that the note for a little while, but
come on, you can. Surely you know.
I think I can get some. So I think I'm going to start. Let's start with the most recent one, who's Iga Swiatek.
Yes, perfect. Is there anybody next to you who's giving you tips? No. Because you can't cheat.
my girlfriend, she's here, but I don't think she knows too many world #1s women's players.
Okay, no cheating. All right, okay, we've got 1 out of 28. Mats, your turn.
Martina Navratilova, Chris Evert, Steffi Graf.
Hold on, yes. Hold on. Yes, that's right. That's right. Casper?
What am I only supposed to give 1 each time?
Yes, 1 each time. You alternate quickly.
Okay, so Mats, you start from the 75 and I start from
the... Exactly. Yes. And then you meet in the middle.
Okay, Chris.
So I'm gonna go with Ashley Barty.
Yep, correct.
Martina Navratilova.
Yeah, but you said that already. Yes, correct.
You said only 1. Get out of here.
So let me think who was #1 before Barty. It must have been Pliskova.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
Steffi Graf.
Yo.
And now I'm gonna say
377 weeks as a world #1, Steffi Graf.
Serena then? Serena. Oh no, okay. I thought you meant to me, but I'm gonna say Serena Williams, so we have it already.
Yes, Serena is correct.
Yeah.
Arantxa Sanchez Vicario.
C.
Venus Williams, I'm gonna go for now.
Yep.
Martina Hingis.
Yep. That's my era.
It's Naomi Osaka. She's been #1.
Well done. Yes.
Yeah.
Jelena Jankovic.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna go for someone. I remember when I was young, it was Dinara Safina.
Yes. Wow. Well done. 2009. She was world number one.
Lindsay Davenport.
Correct.
I think has Radwanska been number one?
You can't
No.
ask the question.
You
gotta
can't ask
say-
questions, but she was number two.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say
There's a few more
Victor-
Europeans, Casper.
Victoria Azarenka.
Correct.
Yeah.
Arina Sabalenka.
Ah, yes.
No,
Of course. No?
no, Sabalenka was not number one. What are you talking about? You wish she was number one, but
Sabalenka
Correct.
was number one in the world.
no,
She was just number one like now, wasn't she?
no.
It was number one
Was she
seeded,
just
I think, in
seeded one
Miami.
'cause-
But
Seeded one because Barty pulled out. She was one, I thought.
Yeah,
No, I
she's
think-
seated number one. Well, we're talking about the former world number ones.
No, I know that. I know that.
But there is
Okay.
one Scandinavian as well.
Wozniacki.
Yes, correct.
Oh,
Yep.
well done.
What
And
about and Sam Stosur has been number one?
Who?
No,
Sam Stosur?
No.
no, Stoser has not been number one.
Mats, you
Um,
can go back in your days. There's a
I
few more.
did. Yeah, but the only number one we had was Navratilova, Evert. Graf
No.
was there for like 15 years.
No, there were a couple more.
No, I know. I'm stalling.
Do you want to
Um,
give me? Should I give you some hints? There's one who
No.
speaks my language,
Austrian or German?
German. There's no Austrian. I was the best
you
Austrian
can
ever.
Austria, they don't. Austria, they don't produce number ones. Although Thomas Muster was number one.
Yeah, but he's male. He's not
I'm just
female.
saying.
No, there's
I'm
a
just
German
saying.
female player who was world number one. Come on, boys.
Angelique Kerber.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Then there's the
Lina.
no. You're not doing so well, Casper. You need to get into women's tennis a little bit more. Come on.
I'm just thinking about women who won the Grand Slam because.
What about
yeah.
who's the tournament director of the French Open?
Yeah, Amélie Mauresmo.
Oui,
And then you
bien.
have Henna.
Justine Henin.
Yes,
Yes.
well done.
And Kim Kleisters as
Yes.
well. Now we got
Yes.
three in a
You're
row.
getting there. You're getting there. And then we
Simona
talk-
Halep.
Yes. Woo.
Yes, good.
Well done. And then Mats, one for you. Australia. An Australian has been world number one in 76 when I was born.
Yvonne Goolagong, of course. I
Well
didn't
done.
think the computer has started. Yvonne Goolagong Coley.
Yep. Casper, I'm gonna give you another tip. She's Spanish.
Spanish. Muguruza?
Yes. Was that a
Nice.
question?
That was
Sort
another
of like-
question.
But and we have an American missing. 1980. She
Hmm.
still works for TV, not for our network though, not for Eurosport. We'll see her around.
1980.
Yo,
Wow.
she's lovely. Has 3 boys.
Tracy Austin.
Yes. Correct. And who was the biggest rival of Steffi Graf? You remember that, Casper? Or maybe your
yeah.
dad has told you?
Hingis?
No. Played everything with 2 hands. Oh God, you're too young, aren't you?
He's
No.
too young.
She got
That's-
stabbed, unfortunately, on a court in Hamburg, and she was
Oh,
out
yes.
for a while.
Monica Seles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Monica,
Well done.
well done,
Well
good one. And then we have 3 more players. An American, Mats, another American, my era. You watched me play against her at the US Open on Arthur Ashe Stadium. You remember that? And I got spanked. You were there. You were sitting there, and I was
Not
thinking, what is
Serena, not
what is
Venus.
Mats? I was thinking, what is Mats doing in my players box?
American, Serena, Venus, Lindsay.
And there
Who
was
else?
another one who had unbelievable timing, really good backhand.
Jennifer Capriati.
Yes, correct. There's 2 more. Casper, you should know them. The lady is originally from Europe, but moved to America when she was very young, but always played for.
Sharapova.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have one left. I
down.
think she was the most beautiful world number one.
Gabriella Sabatini.
No, in
No.
2008. I mean, she was not.
Ivanovic?
Yes, Anna Ivanovic.
Ah, she was number one. I didn't know.
She was. Woo! Well done. That
Nice.
wasn't too
We got
hard.
them all.
You've
Yeah, that
done-
was good.
yeah,
Nice.
You've done extremely well. Are you guys ready to talk about golf?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So, Casper, Indian Wells and Miami has some of the best golf courses. How many times did you play golf, and how was it in the last couple of months? You know, and we don't talk about tennis now. We talk about golf. Did you travel with your golf clubs?
I do, yes. For that trip, I do travel with my own golf clubs. I bring them from Oslo or from Norway over, and I played 3 times in Indian Wells, and I played 2 times in Miami. So I played 5 times in total, and obviously the plan was also to go to Houston, but then that didn't happen. So I was cut short of 1 tournament and also some rounds of golf. But I played much better in Indian Wells than in Miami, because in Miami this year was quite windy, and we played a difficult course. We played one called Doral, which is like
Blue Monster.
Blue Monster. Yeah, we played Blue Monster 2 times. 1 time before the tournament, and the other time we played on Monday morning. We had a flight at Monday at 4 p.m. from Miami, so we played early at 7:30 in the morning, just to get 18 holes in before we sat on the flight. So it was worth it, because it's a beautiful course and a nice experience. But I didn't play too well in Florida, unfortunately. I wasn't feeling it. Indian Wells is a little bit easier. It's dry, it's no wind and all these things, so it's was a bit easier there.
Now, on the tennis court in Indian Wells, you don't feel the ball, but on the golf course in Indian Wells, you seem to be feeling the ball. Mats, you have such a big smile on your face. You're loving this, that Casper loves his golf, right?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I was actually forced by my coach in, it doesn't matter what year, when I was 19 years old. He forced us in Melbourne at Albert Park to start hitting golf balls. He said, you guys are spending too much time in your room, and we need to get outside, and you can't play tennis all day. So he actually forced us to start playing golf. And I love golf. I mean, I used to go and play all the time, although I've never played. Are you saying you played Monday morning after the finals, Casper?
Yes, I did. That's correct.
Wow,
Crazy.
that I never did. That's interesting.
I couldn't sleep anyways.
That's
with my tooth pain,
Oh.
so I just woke up early and went to the golf course.
That's brilliant.
When did you start, Casper? So Mats started at the age of 19. When did you start? What age?
I started young because my father was fairly young when I was born, so he was 26. So I think he enjoyed taking me to all different sports: tennis, golf, driving range, and in the winter we play something called bandy, which is like a mild version of ice hockey, I would say. Mats would know it. It's mostly around in Scandinavia. So I did a lot of things when I was young, and golf was also one of the favorite things to do. But when I was 12, I kind of chose aside the other sports and focus only on tennis. And some days I wish I had chosen golf instead of tennis, but I guess I'm happy with my choice in the end.
Did you guys see that Ash Barty? She just played a golf tournament in her local golf club, and she won a prize money of $30.
Oh,
nice.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Biggest paycheck of her career.
No. What kind of a golfer are you, Casper? Are you more the aggressive one? Are you patient?
I think I think my stronger side is my driving, because it's funny because a lot of people that started a bit later, they always find the irons easier to play with because they feel like more control. But for me, it was always the opposite, because the driver has the biggest head, so it has the biggest place to hit the ball. I mean, it's like the biggest sweet spot. So for me, it was always the drive was easier.
Yeah.
And obviously I can hit it quite far because of the tennis and the swing speed and everything. So I drive fairly well and I drive it quite far, so that helps. But my short game is not great, and I always tend to hit the ball when I'm hitting the approaches a bit too long, which always penalizes me too much, because most golf courses are made that you should hit it a little bit short, but I'm always a bit too aggressive and I take it, 5 or 10 meters long, and then it always ends up in big trouble.
Yeah, a bit much long, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mats,
So that's my biggest mistake when it comes to golf, that I hit it actually a bit too long, so it's I have the wrong club, I guess, in my hand.
But the short game is something I think you really have to practice. Mats, what's your strength? Yeah. I think I walked with you as a caddy once in Wimbledon for 9 holes. I don't know if you remember, but I can't remember the way you played golf. But just tell us, please.
Well, I don't know, Casper, if you play left-handed or right-handed, but I do believe you play right-handed. I play left-handed.
Yeah. That's right. I knew there was something.
For me, it's a backhand. Nice. And when you play left-handed and it's a backhand, I think hitting irons, just like you said, Casper, is much easier than hitting a drive. The short game is getting better. The worse I get at tennis, the better my short game becomes. But the irons are much easier to hit. And my strength, I'm not really sure if I have a strength, to be honest.
I'm sure you're patient.
I don't give up, and I keep the ball in play, and I don't give up. If I have a double bogey, I'm like, good, I'm gonna have a double bogey. Let's get it out of the way. First hole, no problem. Let's move forwards.
Yeah. I find the hardest part, I love the irons as well, but I play golf as well, guys, not just you two. But the fairway woods, I can't play the fairway woods for some reason. I've never practiced that. Anyway, what's your handicap, guys? What is it?
Mine is around a 3.
Jesus, you guys are good. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what my handicap is. Casper, any tennis players you have played golf with? I think you played with Rafa once. How was that?
I have played with Rafa, 2 times actually, and
was that fun?
It is fun, because obviously you're playing golf with Rafa. I mean, how can it not be fun? But he's very serious, about his golf game around on the course. So
really,
usually when I play with my buddies, and we have a good time. We laugh and we joke a little bit. We get in each other's head a little bit. We are doing some trash talk and all these things. So I didn't feel it too natural to trash talk Rafa on the golf course. I didn't actually dare to do that if he hit a little bit bad shots. So I didn't have the guts to do that. But no, I mean, he's very focused, so he doesn't even joke around too much. So it's a bit very, very strict in a way. So it's fun, but it's something else, of course, playing with your buddies. So. But it was a fun experience, and he beat me 2 times. So I need to get some revenge sometime soon.
So tell us, when it's just between the 3 of us, when Rafa tees off, does he have a little, does he need a little bit of time to get his hair ready and, to do his things, what he has to do on the tennis court? Does he do that on the golf course too?
Well, he has some stuff that he does on the golf course. Not tics, but he has his routines, which I guess like we all kind of do, but his golf swing is very similar to his backhand. So it looks pretty much like he's just ripping a backhand, and it's very short. Like you find players nowadays, they're lying I guess horizontal with the clubs at top. But Rafa kind of stops, when the club is there, he stops it and then just rips it like a backhand. So it's an interesting and different swing, but he hits it far because he has a lot of power, obviously. So he also drives very well, plays a nice little draw with his irons, and also has an interesting putting technique. But he plays at scratch and even many times under par. So, I mean,
wow,
he's a very good player. Yeah, he's the best tennis player I ever played with.
Mats, let's talk about Augusta. Both of you, let's talk about Augusta. I'm actually honored that you're taking the time here to have a chat, because it's actually on now, the Masters. What about Tiger Woods coming back here, Mats? Who do you follow? Who do you love watching?
Well, I think Tiger Woods coming back is an incredible story, especially as you're playing a sport where you cannot affect your opponent. And to be able to go out there, or to actually be willing to go out there at his age after his accident, and to believe in your own ability and have the confidence that I understand the golf course better than everybody else. I know how to shoot one or two under par, four rounds in a row, and hoping that 8, 9, 10 under par will be enough, which is what I think he's kind of hoping. Of course, at the same time, you would think the game of professional golf is moving in a direction where Tiger Woods shouldn't be able to compete, but it just proves to me that you have to be mentally strong, and you can affect your opponents without trash talking, Casper. Get in their head. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. But yeah, of course, Augusta is by far the favorite tournament to follow. You know every hole. You most probably played it on the video games and on and on. So you know every hole, you know every shot. I've never been there, but I'm
surprised.
I will follow religiously for the next 3 days.
Apparently, the greens are lightning fast. Casper, you obviously, keeping your fingers crossed for Victor Hovland, or who do you love watching?
Yes, of course. He's the big talk now here in Norway, and especially when he plays now this historic event. So we're following. We didn't get to watch him too much yesterday. They didn't show him too much, unfortunately, on TV. But I hope
do you know him personally?
A little bit. We went actually to the same high school together. We didn't know each other very well at the time. So, but there was this like athletic high school in Norway that kind of focuses on athletes and making like a tailored program for us and all these things. So it was very good. They helped us a lot. And he's 1 year older than me, so he went to college like a year before I finished. Now I didn't finish this year after all, so we actually quit school the same time. But he's just a super nice, fun guy, and he has had so much success. So, but I like players like Justin Thomas. I like watching him. Ricky Fowler is actually maybe my all-time favorite. He doesn't play here, unfortunately, but I think he kind of brought a new like fashion style to the game. And yeah, it was so fun watching Tiger yesterday. I think he has put in so much work since his accident, and I guess that happened to be, I guess maybe not perfect timing, but good enough timing for him to be able to play. And I think he looked fine out there. I mean, obviously, I guess sometimes he can still feel the leg, but not enough, I guess, to put on a good round. And he's only a couple of shots off the lead, and I think shooting 1 under is a big confidence boost for him heading into the hopefully weekend. And I will, like Mats, will follow very closely the next 3 days.
Yeah, my husband is also glued to the TV. I can barely talk to him, but that's the difference between golf and tennis. You have so much time as well. And I remember Adam Scott once said, if I have 1 or 2 bad years, it doesn't really matter. I still have another 30 years to go. And in tennis, time is so limited, but in golf, you can still play unbelievable, when you're a little bit older. Guys, we're kind of coming to an end because we wanted to have a half an hour chat, but since we get along so well, it's already an hour. Last but not least, Casper, what's next for you? I mean, this is a big clay court season coming up for you, and we know that you have high expectations.
Yeah, well, I guess I am playing. I'm leaving on Sunday to Monte Carlo, and hope that I can start pushing, good practices from Sunday evening. Then it's been 3 full days, or I guess 72 hours. So that's, I guess, what it takes for me to be, or before I can start pushing again. So it's not maybe the most ideal way to get into a tournament, but I have played a lot of tennis the last weeks and feel like the game's there. So let's see how I can do. And it's obviously, like you said, important tournaments and months coming for me now. I am entered pretty much every week in the upcoming events. If I do extremely well in some of them, of course, I will rest a little bit. And the major goal is, of course, to do well in Roland Garros for me this year. Last year, I had a bit of a tough loss there in the 5th set against Davidovich. It was a roller coaster match that was long and exciting match, of course, but it didn't end my way, unfortunately. So I think I will try to use that as a motivation to get a good revenge in a way and have a good tournament. But that's many weeks ahead and many things will come before. So I'm just hoping that I will have no more physical problems if it's a tooth or injuries, and I can keep on playing many tournaments in the coming weeks and months.
Mats, we're going to leave you with the last word of wisdom, even though you don't have your wisdom teeth there anymore. What are your thoughts on what are your expectations on Casper's clay court season, especially now we have Medvedev out, you know, we have Nadal out. Who knows if they're going to play the French Open as well? There's a window of opportunity. I mean, I don't want to say, you know, that if those guys were playing, there's no window of opportunity. But what are your expectations, Mats, in Casper?
Well, my expectations are that Casper, you're going to do great, and I think I know that because I sense the excitement that you must have, because I had the same thing. When the clay courts come around, you have a month and a half or a little bit more even to play clay court tennis, and then it is such great tournaments with Monte Carlo and Rome and Madrid and Barcelona. I mean, it's just endless. So there's no panic. For me, yes, I think, Casper, you shouldn't be listening to this because I don't want to put pressure on you, but you are one of the favorites you are one of the favorites, not to win the French Open, but to win week in and week out, to win either Monte Carlo or Madrid or Rome and the French at the end. So, and it's not unreachable. It's the expectations that I think you should have on yourself. It's the expectations I have. But it doesn't mean if it doesn't happen, it's not a bad or a failure. You're a young guy, but I think that's what you got to take. When you have your style and you love clay court so much, you got to get in there and you got to prove to everybody else in the locker room the first couple of weeks, hey, guys, you're going to beat me. You're going to have to run miles, and it's going to take you 3 hours. And I'm going to be out here all day if I have to. And I'm going to play a lot of matches. So for me, it's easily the most exciting season in tennis is when the clay court starts. Easily.
Yeah. Mats has a lot of faith in you there. Okay, I hope you can live up to those expectations. Casper, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's inspiring for all you guys out there that want to do something and want to be the best that you can be. Just never give up, because you never know what can happen. You never know who you can inspire and who you can influence.